Hey folks, what's up? This is Michael. Happy Friday, folks. Finally made it. It is finally Friday. And a crazy week it's been. But it's a nice day today, actually. I'm in the wee hours of the night. Not exactly. So I just gave it away. Coming to you just a little late. But I've been busy. I have a good reason. I've been studying for finals and everything else. And I have been made aware that there was a lot of heavy breathing on my last couple of trivia questions because I was using like a new application, a new set of headphones. I was in a new environment, trying a bunch of new things. So I'm trying a new microphone now, and we'll see if that works. And hopefully it will. Did I mention Happy Friday? Absolutely. I hope your week has been well and we're ready for a weekend. So the answer to the previous trivia question was, of course, if you weren't able to get it, it was lethal injection. So lethal injection, very controversial, capital punishment. It's the practice of injecting one or more drugs into a person, typically a barbiturate, a paralytic, or a potassium solution. Lately, it's been just a mix of concoctions, if you will. It usually involves 3 solutions for the express purpose of causing rapid death. For the express purpose of killing you, it's capital punishment. Now, the procedure gained popularity in the late 20th century as a form of execution intended to replace other methods that were messy and supposedly less humane, such as the electric chair, the gas chamber, and going back further ways, even older methods such as hanging in the firing squad. Lethal injection is now the most common form of legal execution in this country. It has its origins, believe it or not, going back as far as 1888, late 1880s, when a New York doctor began experimenting with various concoctions as a supposed cheaper method than hanging, which was apparently the preferred method. Lethal injections were used extensively in World War II by Nazi Germany. That's been well documented. Skip to the late 70s. Now, by the late 1970s, state medical examiners in states such as Oklahoma and Texas began proposing various versions of lethal injection procedures. And before too long, legislation was passed and quickly approved, and other states thereafter began to utilize capital punishment very quickly. The states that do use capital punishment very quickly, almost 100% of the states, as a matter of fact, if my research served me correctly, I believe I saw that stat, very quickly began introducing similar lethal injection statutes and using the procedure accordingly. Okay, now capital punishment was banned altogether by 1972 in a Supreme Court decision called Furman v. Georgia. However, it was reinstated in 1976 with the supposed 66% I found in my research of Americans still supporting capital punishment. And that, of course, is when lethal injection began to be explored a little more. In doing so, and reinstating capital punishment, the Supreme Court acknowledged progress, so supposed progress made in jury guidelines, and reinstated the death penalty under a, quote, model of guided discretion is how they put it, unquote. Now, on December 7th, I guess that's what the medical examiners in states like Texas and Oklahoma saw as a loophole or an excuse or justification in researching lethal injection. I don't know. But on December 7th of 1982, Texas became the first U.S. state and territory in the world to use lethal injection to carry out capital punishment for the execution of a man named Charles Brooks, Jr., and that, of course, was the focus of the previous trivia question. In 2016, check this out, Pfizer joined over 20 American and European pharmaceutical manufacturers that had previously blocked the sale of their drugs for use in lethal injections. Good for them, effectively closing the open market for FDA-approved manufacturers for any potential lethal execution drug. So you can imagine what the states did. I'm going to take a wild guess. You got it. They began drug cocktail concoctions. They began coming up with their own mixture and made up of drugs like diazepam, fentanyl, potassium chloride. I'm sure I'm butchering the pronunciation of all of those long words, but I digress. Those were just to name a few off the top of my brain, off the top of my research, and drug cocktails that states began coming up with, and moved right into botching executions accordingly, as you can imagine. The main application for the lethal injection procedure is, of course, capital punishment. But as you may have well heard in the last long-standing history, the term may also be applied in a broader sense to include euthanasia and other forms of suicide. Okay, Dr. Jack Kevorkian, who's been featured on previous trivia questions, is a perfect example. Capital punishment continues to be a very sensitive and controversial subject, as we all know, in so many ways to this day. Total, there have been 1,054 lethal injections, executions in the world, I believe. That may be a United States stat, but the total is 1,054. Now they have a botched execution rate. There are people who are actually figuring this stuff out of 7.12%. I don't know if you consider that good, if you consider that bad, but those are the stats on lethal injection. All right, folks, let's get the weekend started, shall we, with a brand new trivia question. Check this out. See if you can get this trivia question. This is pretty neat. I don't say neat, but it's a good trivia question nonetheless. For December 9th, here we go. On this day in 1994, President Bill Clinton fired one of his cabinet members named Jocelyn Elders from this position after her very controversial comments while speaking at a United Nations conference and being considered too much of a political liability. Oh, man, who put this bumper music on? That's not funny, y'all. Oh, my goodness. Really? Oh, yeah. Peace out.